a really big, larger industry as far as the ingredients that go into it. So that's the biggest challenge I find, trying to find the right co-packer.
Okay. Send me an email also. I have a friend that is in the space. He's not the right contact, but he spent a lot of time working on it, so he might have some insight into that for you.
Cool. Yeah, I'll do that.
He owns Meta Meals.
I've heard of that, yeah.
So. All right. What else we got? Let's go here, April.
I did have a little breakthrough / clarity moment on the direction focus of my online wellness program. So I had a connection with an old friend. He was more of an acquaintance, but a good friend of mine who was my age. It was his older brother, but he committed suicide. And I got to thinking about this whole suicide situation because recently someone that we know committed suicide earlier this year, and it is something that's very real and something that I've considered as well. And it's like no joke, and we just don't tell anybody, we don't talk about it. And then, somebody does it and it's like, whoa, wake up call, But really, a lot of people. I also know somebody else who her husband committed suicide, and he was an extreme perfectionist. And I think that's what really gets us a lot, is the perfectionism, this extreme perfectionism, and that stress that we put on ourselves. And so I've been in conversation with this guy that I connected with in Missouri, who I just mentioned earlier, and thinking about focusing on a program for people who have high stress lives, they're perfectionists, and coming at it from the message of, do you yourself or someone commit emotional suicide or have considered suicide? And that's a real pain point with people, and it's very real. And then take people through the process of getting in touch with their greater purpose, their value for themselves, and value for life. So that's my direction and purpose and focus, is to help people find that foundational value for themselves and value for their life.
Yeah, that connected for me, and it makes sense. It seems clear and focused on a market.
Yeah. So that's why I didn't come last week, because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling so inspired to write content and just sit with that. So that's why I wasn't here last week. And so I spent some time with that last week and this whole last week. So, and I connected with another friend, Katrina. Katrina Wisdom. It's her husband who committed suicide over 8 years ago now, and she has a nonprofit foundation to help you with that. So I opened up a conversation with her. We're going to meet soon to dive into that.
Very cool. Thanks for sharing. Did you raise your hand? No? You keep calling it. Every time until you share. We can share something from the last week or two.
The last week or two. I actually wasn't in town this past week, which is why I was not here. So it's been a little bit of a low week for me, losing a little motivation, seeing family and not. So I don't have that's why I didn't raise my hand. So I always feel like it has to be something good. And that's what and I'm feeling like I need to get my motivation back and really be putting my effort back into the business, which is kind of falling behind a little, just everything else.
So what are some quick tips for everyone when you lose your motivation? What are some of the things that you guys do to get your motivation back? Just spit fire.
I go back and read emails of testimonials from people who have succeeded, that you're of course I can't stop doing this. This is really important.
Just answering why, and even maybe doing that 3 times again and again to dig deep into what your purpose is, what brought you here in the first place.
Thank you.
Podcasts. Yeah. I was gonna say podcasts or YouTube. For me, one thing that holds me back is the feeling of maybe not being good enough or knowing my craft well enough. And so instead of just letting that linger and be kind of toxic, I realize it and then go after, okay, I needed to learn this, figure it out, and then I gain this like level up of confidence in my offering, and then I can approach it in the world like in a very much more positive way.
Thank you.
I just want to say thank you for bringing that up, because what I really want for this community, or just the conversation, and is it's not all exciting, it's not all about having success. Like, the shit that entrepreneurs, to get to where they're going, they have such lows and depressions, and they feel like they're screwed. And this past month, I have lost some of my motivation and was feeling really down. And like, it's almost like a growth pain. Like I'm like, okay, this is the next step, and I actually do this. And also using it as a time just to reflect, like, okay, is this really the thing I want to share in the world? Like, is this, like, what do I need to shift? And just like getting in touch with my intuition, because I feel like getting tapped back into that piece and fueling myself, and then just asking what's the next step, because that's all I know. And but I actually love this conversation. I love talking to successful entrepreneurs, and they say like, oh my God, the worst shit happened to me and I fucked up, and like, I want to hear that stuff. I don't want to hear like, oh, I'm on the beach with a pina colada. Like, I want to know what it took for you to get there, so I know what's real. And I think it's so important for us to have real conversations and not fake, that it's all perfect. Like, I want to know what you're actually challenged with, so we can actually, Tyler can look at it and be like, okay, let's, you know, like I want to go to the places that suck, because I feel like that's where there's some good growth there. Because I know what you both are doing is like truly needed in the world, and I know you're both passionate, but like, I totally get that. But I just want to be real, like, there's shit. Like, and I'm sure so many people here have felt like really depressed over the past few months or the past couple of years, just trying to get their thing going. I think, yeah, just continuing to keep going. Like, I'll have my slumps, but then I'll stop for a while and just breathe and do yoga, and then just like get touched back with that again and just keep going. Yeah, so thanks for being honest with that.
I was just gonna say too, sometimes I think it's like checking in with what your surroundings are. So you said you went home, and sometimes for some people it's a really positive thing. For me, it's negative. Like, I love my family to death, but there is such a different energy, and it's so easy to get sucked into those old habits and those old ways of thinking about yourself, and like, why do I really need to push, and I don't know, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So it's allowing yourself to be like, okay, that's where I was. I'm back. I'm gonna do self-care. I'm gonna remind myself like why I left, why I don't live at home, like why I've gotten into, like, there's a reason.
Yeah, no,
So
that hits very true to me.
Yeah.
I go home with caretaker, so
yes.
depleted me, and I came back being like, I don't want to do anything.
And that's okay.
Or where do I start, you know, so. Thanks, guys. That helps. Thank you.
Thank you for being honest and sharing, and
It's like, I'm just gonna get by, I'm just gonna take care of myself, and I've just been, yeah, for 5 years, I've been restoring, but I mean, it's great. Everybody's like, oh, you glow and you take care of yourself, and I'm like, yeah, I wish my bank account reflected that too. I can only transfer that on. That's what I'm working on, but it's a lot of times it's just difficult to find motivation, and it's getting over that growth curve. I know.
yeah, do you have anything to share?
This is not motivational, but I just think that, I mean, you say the opposite. My struggle is the opposite. I have all of the motivation in the world, and I feel like shooting out of my body with stress because I redid my business, and now I'm like, and then taking the wealth dynamics test and realizing where my strengths and weaknesses are and things like that, getting really clear, and not having the correct amount of support, and not knowing like which thing do I do first, like not knowing how to prioritize my tasks list, or how to even go about putting the proper systems for my business in particular into place, has had me like so like overwhelmed that I was in tears 2 nights this week, just like because it feels like a failure to have so much of my heart invested and feel like I'm just like mentally challenged that I don't understand this piece of systems and, you know, reports and all that is so, I just feel so, so rough with it. And then I spoke with my roommate and he gave me this entire other piece of advice, you know. I was like, where do I, you know, here are my options. And then he was like, here's this whole other way. And it just kind of, so I don't know, I mean, for me, that's been the opposite struggle. And then I have come back into realizing, like, at least for me personally, I believe that your thoughts become things. And I'm learning a lot right now about conscious creating and manifestation and being able to come into my own space. I did an hour-long meditation this morning and trying to trust myself and that help will come if I put it out there. That, like, for even this class, I wanted to learn the structure, and then I found this class. So trying to not stress that just because I'm realizing the places that are kind of holes right now, that I won't then find the pieces that I need.
Yeah, I don't know if this is listening to you, one of the things I struggle with is, once I identify a gap, I have a sense of urgency to fill all the gaps immediately.
Yeah.
And like, it's impossible, right? And it's like, and so for me, one of the things that has helped for me is to like, give myself plenty of ample space and time to like fill all that, all those gaps, so.
How do you decide, like, say I were to be like, there's all these different things I could be working on. How do you prioritize which to start or even which strategy to? Do you feel like that's just an inherent skill that you have and you outsource to other people and kind of guess? Because sometimes I guess and then I waste so much time.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to, depending on where you are, it's hard to answer that question. I'm happy to have a conversation with you about like where to prioritize. It sounds like you're back in the meat grinder of like doing the product market fit life cycle, which is a little bit of a meat grinder. But I'm happy to follow up at a break or afterwards with you.
So yeah, I can stuff on this end too. The motivational speech.
All right. Yeah. So I'm not sure how to speak to your question either.
Oh no, I was just acknowledging that I'm quite the opposite. I spend way too much time relaxing and taking care of myself, and I wish I had more motivation. It was just like, at some point, I had to acknowledge, wait a minute, I'm giving myself way too much time. Like, you have to create the momentum, and that's why, yeah, I had that burst of inspiration last week, and so I'm taking action on that, and that's helping a lot. And so I really have to have a purpose, a clear purpose, to really drive me forward and want to do the work.
Got it. Yeah. So. Quick.
I was just gonna say, I've been there and I'm going through that myself, and like, yeah, the act of doing something, even if it's for free, but it's in line with what you want to do and get paid for, find every opportunity you can to practice that, because you will end up getting money, you will get referrals, you will get connections, just through doing your service. So, just keep doing it.
Yeah. And the other piece that comes up for me, like, I don't know if this is what your experience is, but like for me, I would need to take care of myself because I had health issues going on. And whether it be physical or emotional, mine happened to be mostly physical health issues. But I kept thinking, oh, I'm not motivated, but like looking back, I just like I needed to be honest with myself that like I just wasn't healthy. And that like we talked about in that first class, like the foundation of like, I didn't acknowledge that, and so I was like not getting healthy because I was so stressed that I was not doing enough and not motivated enough, and so it like prolonged it, rather than just acknowledging like, wow, like if I look back at that time, I should have probably shut my business down and got a little like job and like, you know, got healthy rather than try to keep my business going. And so I'm not saying that's what's happening for you, but just I should have been real about what was really going on in my life, rather than spending 2 years and racking up, you know, $100,000 in losses, which is what the reality was. I was just trying to keep things moving, and I look back and that was a mistake. So I don't know if that But, so, I mean, I think that what we find is that, we're talking about tonight some business lessons, but the journey of an entrepreneur is like emotional, it's mindset, it's relational, it's all these other things as well. And I think that what we found is the best way to get support in there is through community, through conversations, communication, and things like that. And so if you haven't already, I would encourage you to continue to build your support system around you. Use people in this class as well to do that, and to really just get connected and have these conversations day in and day out. And sometimes your business partner or people that you work for aren't the right people that like get that support, and so it needs to be someone outside of your business. So that popped up for me to share as well. It's just a lesson before we dive in to marketing tonight. I'm gonna dive into about a half an hour of some good marketing content. Then we've got a surprise break activity tonight. Some of you have caught on to the surprise, but many of you I don't think have. So we'll do that around 6:30. And all right. So remember this from last week? Who wants to explain it again from what they learned from last week? Thank you. Will you stand up so everyone can hear you?
So, like the top row are systems that are like the big, like upfront machines of the business. And then the ones on the bottom are kind of like background, like have to be working in order for anything else to work. And that's all I have to say. And then a system is just like a goal-oriented set of operations to make this, something.
Okay, perfect. All true. Does anyone have anything else they want to add to that? Yeah, I'm just explaining this. I explained it last week, and I wanted to bring it back up, but I didn't want to just explain it again. So I wanted.
This was actually a game changer for me. I know I've seen this quite a few times, but I want this, and I want to print it out on the wall, because you think of business, and there's so many different pieces, like what she's talking about, like there's marketing, there's this, and it's like your brain's like, what the hell am I focusing on? When I look at that, I'm like, that is a business. So then I'm able to look at it and say, oh, today, where am I focusing and where am I not focusing? Like you said, you can actually look at if a business is failing, you can ask a question to actually find out which piece is not functioning well. So that was huge for me. So just printing this out for my brain, so that I actually have an image of what a business looks like, it gives me a framework so I can know, oh, I have to think about accounting or this, like I know where I'm at with this map. So I don't know, I'm gonna put it on my wall.
I actually still have it on my wall. And yeah, for years of using this, because I still come back to it. Because there's certain things I love, and there's certain things up here I hate. And what I recognized I did was that without a plan, I would prioritize the things I loved over and over and over. So my businesses have a lot of marketing, because I just love doing marketing. I think it's fun. Most people do. So I had a ton of leads always, but I hate sales. And so I was not following up with everyone properly. I was also not looking at the quality of my leads. And so I would get a ton of really bad quality leads for my business, because in marketing, all I was measuring was the quantity of leads, not the quality of leads. And so when I looked at it, if I looked at my week and how I was spending time, I was like, wow, I'm spending like 80% of my time here and like 10% here and 10% here. Well, of course I'm not making money. Right? Because like if I'm just generating leads all the time and not getting cash from them and then delivering on that promise, like I'm not going to make any money. And so again, I think what she said, and a reminder, is just this could be used as a tool to prioritize and say, okay, wow, like I really like systems, so this is another problem I ran into. I love systematizing things, right? I'm a nerd. But I would spend most of my week doing all this stuff and say, well, when this is done, I'll get to these things. Well, what do you think the result was? I was very, what?
They never really got done.
Well, they never got done. I had a very organized business that made no money, right? Like, no, not very good. And so I find that a lot of entrepreneurs have that thing where like they have one or two things that they like, they get scared or something happens, they like go back to, right? Like we were just discussing one thing. What do you think? What do you think your thing is?
Yeah, I mean, everything you're saying. Just that I like, as soon as I get to a place where I'm unsure, I revert back to like what I feel comfortable with, which is learning. Like I love doing research, being a student, like absorbing information. So if I get to a place that's kind of like a little bit uncomfortable, I'm like, I should go back and get another certification. I should go back and read this book first. I should go back and learn instead of like acting. So, yeah.
Yeah, who else? That's exactly it, right? And how many, you just sat up last week and told us all your certifications. Like, I'm not sure that that's where your business is lacking, but you talk about that. So what is everyone else's kind of go-to? Where do they go to in fear or like?
I relate to you on the marketing side. I love talking to people about what I'm doing and getting people really excited about it. And then I'm like, cool, great conversation. That was really fun. And they're like, all right. I'm like, so, and that's the end. And so I was just at a really amazing conference last week that was all about like driving conversions in the digital space and like putting systems in place that support like all the other piece and do it in a really like phenomenal, dynamic, delightful way. I love that word. That was the word that they kept saying. So it kind of gave me new inspiration to like figure that out. But the place I'm in right now is like these systems that exist that can be operationalized like are fairly expensive. And so trying to understand how, as like right now my business is myself currently, and I'm not generating enough income, and realistically looking at like my cash flow, it won't be generating enough income for at least the next 6 months to bring on other people. And so trying to understand how to ramp up true like sales and conversions while still functioning as like me, myself, and I. And so an example of that is I just launched a new website and there's a whole new sales portal as part of that, which is awesome because it allows people to go in and submit orders right through that platform, which I didn't have before. So before it was like, shoot me an email. It's just become a lot easier for people. But as orders come in, I'm like, oh shit, like I have to fill these orders. And that's really actually difficult because I'm like so stretched thin time-wise right now that even just to add, like when it's not completely on my schedule. So before I was like, okay, like here's my order window. Very specific. It's like there's the dates for orders, everything has to be sent by this date, and then I'm gonna fill all those orders and get them out in this set time frame. But now when people have the ease of ordering, which from a customer experience perspective is ideal, it totally messes up like how I can follow up on that. So I don't know.
Just have that set in the back though, like with the back end, can it be like orders only accepted on this day and this day? And so it's still.
Yes, potentially, but again, it's going back to the whole customer experience side of things. Like, at some point, your competition is going to have a better order platform. So there's a trade-off there. And granted, like, I have a unique offering, and like, that's all fine and good, but if we're talking about scalability, at some point, like, you need to be, like, accessible,
So what I heard was that the product delivery system isn't, like, you've improved your marketing and sales system, and the product delivery system now needs continued improvement.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so technically, now, reality might be a little bit different, but technically, if you're priced properly, you should be able to hire help to help you on product delivery because it's only, you should be profitable still on each sale with help. So, you know, maybe you need too much of that cash to take out to pay your bills or whatever. And so
Potentially. I mean, maybe. I don't know if that, I feel like my pricing is appropriate for the products that I'm offering based on the research that I've done. And it's mostly just like finding that line between like scaling up to a point that I'm still able to fill orders and getting over that minimum threshold to be able to move to the next place of like bringing on supporting help. And it's like, I understand the notion of hustle and I'm like working my ass off, but there's also only so many hours in the day. So I'm like, well, how many more orders can I fill so where I'm not like literally just like up 24 hours a day and still like get to that next phase.
Right, but I guess, I mean, I'll say the same thing potentially though, is that you should be able to hire someone to help you deliver on orders. You should be able to afford that. Or something else is off in the plan, right? Like, because you should have a margin, right, on all of every sale, even with labor added in there.
Okay.
And right now, if you can't, you may not be charging enough for your time in the pricing mechanism, or what you're selling, like if you're selling small quantities and you build in the labor costs, you're actually not making money.
It's more the second issue, which is that like right now I'm feeling an order like it's fairly infrequent because I'm just starting to move in the conversion from like leads to actual customers, and because of that, like even to have a person on staff and be like, cool, like I need you to work 2 hours every 2 weeks, like which maybe there's someone out there that'd be willing to do that. I haven't met that person, but
Absolutely, there's gonna be someone that's
yeah,
looking for that opportunity.
cool, okay.
That's what I was gonna say, with someone that's more of an independent contractor that isn't looking for someone that has an interest in what you're doing.
That's a good idea.
With like opportunity for growth, you know, if that goes that way.
Okay, thanks. Okay.
All right, so, and then, you know, one of the things, so a real life example is that I actually take my week and I like map it out on my calendar to see what box I'm spending time on. And then I like, is this ratio right? Because it essentially comes down to like how much time am I and my team's resources being spent on these different boxes. And for the stage of business we're at, is this what the business needs? And so instead of, when I tried to just do it in my head, when it was subjective, I always misallocated my time to benefit me. Just human nature, right? And it was like what I liked or what I wanted was most comfortable, the less risky stuff, right? Sales is risky. You get no's. I hate getting no's, or for a while I hated getting no's. And so marketing was easy. Everyone loves, like, yeah, that sounds great, yeah, if there's no money on the table. And so I liked people to like do like that. And so when I started looking at the real hard data, I was like, holy crap, no wonder like it's not working. I have to budget in now 9 to 10 a.m. sales calls every day. I do it first because it's my least favorite thing to do. And so I do it first thing in the morning and get it out of the way, and so that I can like enjoy the rest of the day. So I'm gonna keep moving. Tonight we're talking about marketing, and first there's different marketing depending on the stage of your business. So the marketing in the seed stage, which is kind of early stage, maybe right, after the testing, but before launch, or if you've soft launched or launched a little bit, then you don't have all these pieces. This is what the foundation of a good marketing plan is. Everyone says, okay, if I ask what marketing, people say, oh, Facebook ads, they say flyering, they say networking, all those things. Well, those are marketing strategies, which is part of a marketing system. And so we're going to talk about a lot of different parts of the marketing system tonight, because your strategies are one of the last things that you implement, not the first. And I get all these times, hey, I'm doing this for marketing strategies, and I'm still not getting the leads I need. And I don't even usually ask about the marketing strategies. I go, because that's probably not the problem. Your marketing strategies will be work or not based upon all the work and foundation you put into place beforehand. So we're working on, in this class, your business plan. The business plan has a couple key elements that if you don't figure out up front here, none of this other stuff will happen and your marketing strategies won't work, right? And what do you guys think, what are the most important parts of the business plan that affect your marketing and your ability to generate leads? Shout it out.
Your pitch deck template?
Can you say that again, Tyler?
So, the business plan is one of the first critical components of whether your marketing strategies are going to end up succeeding, and by success I mean generating quality leads. What parts of the business plan do you guys think are most important to have dialed in to make this all work?
Target market.
Target market, absolutely. Having a really clear idea of who that target market is.
Having, like this was a shift for me, is like you have this idea, but actually giving it a structure, so saying, okay, it's gonna look like this, and I'm gonna charge this much, so that when you sell it, they're like, oh, okay, this is exactly what you get, this is exactly how much it costs. That was when I heard, until that point I heard.
Yeah, and so many people do that. They come and they're like, I got this great idea. I'm like, ideas are worthless, but what's your product? What are your features of your product? And therefore, what are the price of your product? And what does it cost to deliver your product, right? So your products and pricing are other two. So target market, product, pricing is another one. What else?
Unique value proposition.
There you go. Like why, what makes you different? Why is it important? Absolutely. What else? How about place of purchase, right? So where are your customers going to purchase from you, right? You just said that your customers originally were going to have to email you and set up a phone call, and now they're able to order online. Those are two different places with two very different scalability and different access points, right? So if I work 9 to 5 every day and have a busy life, I'm going to have a hard time calling you and setting a meeting and ordering from you. But if I can go online on a break and order something, it's whatever. So understanding where people can purchase from you is another big piece that you figure out in the business plan. And then the last one is the marketing strategies or promotion. How are you going to promote it as well? So these are all important pieces.
Wait, I don't know if someone said this, but actually proving that there's a real need for what you're offering. Because you can do all this, if no one actually needs it, you have to know that people want it.
Right. Absolutely.
Did you say what the second one was again? It was target market, marketing strategies, and there's one other.
Product description, product, place, promotion, and pricing are really the 4 P's of marketing.
She says like proving there's a need for what you're offering. Would that be like in your research to put into your business plan, or do you mean like test, like proving it by having gone out and tested?
Yes, so we talk about that in that, first or second night,
Yeah.
where we talked about the iteration, the product market test iteration. And so there's a lot of different ways. It looks different depending on how far along you are. So at first it just might be like talking to people, but then it might be trying to sell them a fake product, right, that doesn't exist yet. And then it might be to sell them a real product or do a free testing and get feedback. So it's that cycle, and it looks a little bit different each time you go through it, and depending on the feedback you get.
And then, so that's not just like researching facts of, why, like researching online, you mean like interpersonal proving?
So that's primary research, and then there's secondary research also to do the business plan.
And one more question, what do you mean by promoting, like as part of the business plan, like the plan for this, all this stuff, or?
It's what I generally get the answer for is what's your marketing plan, which is, oh, I'm doing Facebook ads. It's the actual marketing strategies. So now, these are big words and they can be overwhelming. Each one of these can be overwhelming, but they grow with your business. And so you would move, after you get the business plan, a brand guide. Now a brand guide, you can go to a marketing agency and they can charge you $25,000, $50,000, $100,000. That's not what you guys need starting a small business. But what you do need is a name, a logo, maybe some colors and some fonts, right? It's more of a style guide than called a style guide than a brand guide. You can probably do a lot of that on your own. Maybe you find a graphic designer friend that can help you with your kind of first brand iteration, and do that. Real simple, basic stuff, but you want to make sure that you get that in place so that you have consistency across your brand. Collateral. So this is what the pieces of things like a website, like a flyer, like a business card. Those are some fundamental foundational pieces, but you can't have that if you don't have a logo already figured out and some colors, right? You end up spending a time. Content communication plan. Almost all marketing now has some online component, right? There's few businesses that don't, and that's fine. And online marketing, really the core of it is content. Whether you talk about SEO, you talk about pay-per-click, you talk about these things, but none of those work without content. And so really, understanding the content communication plan when you first get started could be really simple. It could be, you know what, my target market is you know, I'm working on with a business now, the target market is new moms. So the target market is new moms, and the content is balance as a new mom, right? And I'm going to do my content plan for to get started is 1 blog post a month and 4 inspirational quotes. That can be your content communication plan in month 1, right? It doesn't have to be complicated. Over time, that will grow, and maybe it becomes bigger and bigger when you have more resources, but just something basic. You also want to pick your social channels, and you want to make sure you own them and you set them up, and they match your brand. You have your same logo, the same colors, those things. And then you get a marketing launch plan, which we'll talk a little bit more about here in a little bit. All right, so brand guide. I talked about kind of just the basics: colors, logo, name, fonts, brand message, value proposition. We talked about those pieces earlier. So it's just kind of the foundation of your brand, so that it's consistent. And without a consistent brand, all the stuff you do in marketing, people won't know what you're talking about. We talked about this. Here are some initial marketing collateral: website, business cards, flyers, maybe some ads. We talked about this, the content and social communication plan. All right, so the marketing launch plan, how will you leverage your official launch party? Now, an official launch party doesn't have to be the day you're in business. You can call it a soft launch, you can relaunch, you can do anything you want. It's up to you, your business. And so a launch could be something very valuable. And a launch early on in the business really could mean inviting all of your friends and family that have supported you through this process of getting it up and running, or through your life, or made you who you are. And tell them about show them the new logo, and tell them your 90-second pitch, or your 3-minute pitch, or maybe they really love you and you can get them to listen to you for 10 minutes. But just getting 20 or 30 people to understand what you're up to, that really care and love about you, could really be an impetus to get your business going. Those are 20 or 30 brand ambassadors that could really love you if you get when you're ready and you have your message clear, and you can communicate that to them clearly. So the launch plan is initially, and then you have your after launch. One of the biggest problems I see with people putting together marketing plans is one of the first things you need to do is to tell you what time frame this marketing plan is for. A forever marketing plan will overload your brain and you're done. So what I like to say is a 90-day plan early on is like the max length you should do for a while. It might even just be, what are we doing for the next 30 days? That might be as far as your brain can take you, right? And so really compress the timeline for you're thinking about marketing, and it also compress the amount of time and energy, right? So if you're putting together a 90-day or even a 30-day marketing plan after launch, and you're like, well, I've only got $300 and I've only got 10 hours of time, like, it doesn't take much time to figure out how to spend that money and time best. Figure it out, put it in place, implement it, and learn something from it. Who else is going to help you? What is your budget? What are your strategies? And what are you going to measure from that? All right. we talked about this earlier. These are the 4 P's of marketing. This has been around for decades. Product, price, promotion, and place. These are all the things that you tried to test when you went out and did your primary and secondary research and you put together your business plan. When you get to launch, it shifts. It's real. One thing for sure is that you didn't get it right. I can guarantee that. Every single one of you got some portion, if not all of this wrong. And that's fine. So what you realize is that after launch, what you're doing is testing these things over and over and over and over until you find the right combination. And as soon as you find the right combination, you probably are going to have to like grow it, right? And so this is part of business over the first 4 or 5 years. You're constantly evolving your products, your pricing strategy, how you're promoting it, and where they're buying it from. Eventually, you'll start to like get clear. Oh, I tried those 10 other ways. My product only sells online, and I'm not going to test anymore. I've tested it all. It only works online, and I need to offer this buy one get one free pricing strategy. I tested a dozen of them, and that's the one that works the best. Not sure how. Still, I'm going to keep testing how to get the word out to my target market, but I've also dialed in my product or some combination of that. Yeah.
I read this really profound article last week to understand just like mentally what marketing is, the big picture. And it said in the article, because I love this, is that the purpose of marketing is to build desire, to build trust, to have people really see what you're about and get them so excited that they want what you have to the point when you're on a sales call. Sales is just telling them how you get it, how much it costs, and the details, and maybe overcoming, just giving them the details. But I just love that piece of marketing's just building desire. I don't know, I thought that was really helpful. If anyone has that article,
Absolutely. And so, I mean, I think she touches on, so when we talk about marketing, a lot of people think of the creative side of marketing and the like fun and the like relational and partnership side, which is absolutely a part of marketing. Communications is a part of marketing. What's also a part of marketing that I'm sharing with you is the system part of it, right? It has to be systematized in order for the business to scale. And so make sure we take a holistic view, I think is important, of what marketing is. And the system side for me at the highest level is what am I putting in terms of resources, time, and budget, and what am I getting out in terms of number of qualified leads, right? And in the middle, there's all those pieces that kind of jumble together and mix up, and you've got to find the right recipe for your business at your stage of the business. So that leads directly into the next slide, which is the marketing sales funnel. What Danielle said is perfectly leads into what? So what used to happen is, what's the difference between marketing and sales, right? This is what it used to be. So marketing used to be, you put an ad on the radio or TV, and you create awareness. Hey, I've got this new product, and it will solve this problem for you. They say, oh, wow, I didn't know that. I do have that problem, and so I have an interest. And so then you go through the sales process of considering whether you're going to buy it, you have the intent to buy it, evaluating your choices, and purchasing. And that's all part of sales. That's how it used to be. But online, the people's ability to access information online has shifted where marketing and sales lines are drawn completely. Because think about how many products before you purchase, think about how you're purchasing products. Even if you purchase at a store, you're probably most likely to start your purchasing process in consideration online. You're going to go online and get more information about different choices, different options, where to buy it, price points, benefits, features, all those things before you even go into the store to buy it. And so now, the sales process, marketing and sales funnel, looks like all of this is happening online and considered marketing, right? And then just the final part of evaluation and purchase is the sales piece of it. that could be happening from a phone call or something more serious, like Danielle was just saying. Does that make sense? Any questions on this piece? So here's an example of an online sales funnel. And each different type of piece of content is you're taking them through the marketing and sales funnel. So they could come and get attracted to your site because you had a blog post that was related to them, right? If you did a good job, you know who your target market is, you're writing a blog about what they are interested in reading. And so they go to your site, then they join your email list because you gave away something free on your site. You know, a free book on eating healthy, ebook on eating, or 10 tips to eat healthy if you give me your email address, right? And then you send them an email and you try to sell them something, you gave them something free, you created value, then you try to sell them something cheap. Hey, here's a $5, you know, you can get 3 meals for $5. It's, you know, a deal, but I want you to get some money exchange, but, you know, you're getting it at cost, right? And then you slowly can, build a relationship with them and build trust over time and build more and more higher price point products as well to that client. So let me point out something because this slide is designed poorly. These aren't associated even though it looks like it. So sorry about that, that's totally my fault. But it looks like this is equal to that, but that's not the case. This is the marketing and sales funnel overall. This is an example of what a coach would do online to get people through different levels and get them to be, you know, a private coaching client, which some of these private coaches cost, you know, $5,000 or $10,000 or $25,000 or $50,000 a year to do private coaching. But that doesn't happen just by one phone call, right? That person has gone through and had multiple touches with the company and probably already spent money with the company before they've committed to spending $50,000 on an annual private coaching plan. So think about your business the same way. How do you build trust? How do you give value to your client, to your potential clients, so that they're spending more and more money with you over time? All right, so it's a good place to take a break. We've got something fun right now. It is 6:30. So we're going to all stand up. And we're going to head outside. So if you're going to get cold, before you start marketing, you got to know your business. Great takeaway. What else?
Social media marketing is not a marketing system thing.
Social media marketing does not a marketing system thing. Yes. And poetic how you said it. What else? What are the key takeaways?
Be aware of our time biases because of what we like to do and look at the bigger picture of the business. And I'm going to print that one slide. Actually, a couple of these slides I'm going to print out and post up to look at regularly to make sure that my priorities are balanced.
Perfect.
With the goal of moving the business forward rather than my interests.
Sounds good. What else? Any other key takeaways? All right. So we're going to get into the marketing strategies and tactics, really. And this is what most people do for marketing. And then all they do is they say it doesn't work, and then they pick another strategy or tactic, and they say it doesn't work, and they pick another marketing strategy or tactic, and it doesn't work. So this is the one that's easiest to understand, but it only work. The strategy and tactics only work if you really have your business plan clear. You have all the underlying things like the brand and the social media, and you know those pieces like all dialed in, right? And then you can try strategies and tactics. Now, when you pick strategies and tactics, it's overwhelming. There are thousands of strategies and tactics with marketing. So there are different strategies and tactics that work for different businesses. One of the easiest ways, for most people, it's very intuitive, right? Once you get all the other pieces in place, you're like, well, of course, if I sell this, this is how I should communicate, right? For some people it's not, for some businesses it's not, but the other ways you can do is just copy what your competitors are doing. They figured it out if they're doing well. So just figure out what they're doing and copy them as well. The other thing to think about is the cost versus the time to see results. And so these are just a whole bunch of different, marketing tactics or strategies, whatever you want to call them for this, So, there's 10 types of networking. There's all this types of publicity. There's support groups. There's newsletters, but there's printed, there's electronic, there's a whole bunch of things. Here's another one with even more, all sorts of types of advertising. And so you've got to come up with a limited bucket of them and pick a few that are going to be most effective and just do those, because what happens is if you try to do 20 of them with a $300 budget, you're going to have no impact. You're going to have such a small impact that it's just not going to, you're not going to get any results back. And so you want to be as focused as possible when you first get started. That's why we go back to the target market when I said, listen, pick the smallest target market you can to accomplish your first set of goals and expand from there. So, if you're selling to schools, right, narrow it down to like 5 or 10 schools and then come up with a marketing plan that does focus on those 5 or 10 schools. You can always add more schools later to your target market. But that'll help you to develop a marketing plan that's really effective. I see so many people wasting so much time around marketing because they're just trying everything they see online. Every time they talk to someone, and they say, "Oh, I talked to so and so last week, and they're an expert in YouTube marketing, so I'm going to do YouTube marketing now." Well, okay, great. YouTube marketing works really well, but is it right for you at this time with your budget, with your goals, with your target market? You got to really think through those things and make sure you stay focused. The other important piece of the marketing is to make sure you measure results. So when you're getting leads, figure out where they came from. How did you hear about us? It's really important to not just guess on that. Start to keep statistics. Otherwise, you're going to guess wrong. Your mind will not get it right. You won't be able to keep that. You need to write it down. Every time you have a lead, name, phone number, email, how'd you hear about us? And you can start to see which one of those turns into clients also. Like I've shared a couple times already, I developed a ton of leads online. Only one of them became a client of mine. So 2/3 of my leads were online leads, but only one of 35 clients came from there. And so for my consulting business, I cut out the online marketing based on that data. So, any questions around the marketing piece?
Last year we covered the difference between target market and target client, right? Isn't there a difference, or is that not so relevant?
Well, we did talk about that earlier in one of the earlier classes.
Yeah, you touched on it.
Yeah, so not those two terms, but the end user and could be different. Like who uses your product or service might be different than who's paying for the product or service.
But isn't the target market a broader scope? Isn't the target market a larger audience than your target client?
No, those are different terms. Those are total addressable market, total serviceable market, and target market.
Okay.
Yeah. So you want to narrow it down when you do your marketing plan for the most limited piece. Good question. Okay. So if you notice, I introduced this last week, and we went through each one of these and just kind of touched on them, right? My goal was to make you aware of those systems and to start thinking about business as a system, right? This whole thing is a system, right? And you put a bunch of inputs in here, and the outputs hopefully is profit, right? And a system is made up of multiple systems. These are the systems it's made up of. And we've covered these last week, just touch base on them. So you start to think about kind of what are the foundations, what am I ignoring, what am I spending too much time on? And tonight we talked about the marketing system. And next week we'll talk about the sales system and the business development system as well. And then the product delivery system is up to you, right? That's your product. It's very unique to what you're doing. You've got to figure out, how do I deliver a great customer experience for my product or service? And so we can't really cover that in this class because it's very unique to you guys. So any questions or thoughts around the big picture? I want to bring it back to this. All right, I'm going to assume I've just done such a good job that there's no questions. All right, so a couple things coming up soon, right, is the last class, and everyone's going to get up and do a 90-second pitch. So I want to just kind of encourage you guys to really work on your decks, put in some real time over the next couple of weeks on the decks, and practice your 90-second pitch. Bye.
I didn't realize you were making cuts. Just got shocked.
Oh, were you not here for that class?
No, I wasn't there for the pitch deck class.
Cool. Okay.
So anyway,
So my encouragement to you is that you get these decks done. This is where you can learn all you want, but this is where your learning turns into action. Do you have those answers? Have you done the work to make, that's hard work, and it's going to be iteration after iteration. But get where you are today, dialed in.
Do we have a, I don't know, list of components that we need for the 90-second pitch?
So the 90-second pitch is your deck compressed in 90 seconds.
Okay, so we'll figure it out by the week.
Yeah, when you do the deck, what you basically need to do is say, how do I tell this slide in one sentence? And that'll take it down to about 90 seconds. Maybe 2 or 3 sentences on like 1 or 2 slides, but like, how do I compress this whole story down into 90 seconds?
Okay.
Any questions on those assignments to finish up strong? Okay.
It seems like a lot to have the pitch deck, all of those like slides, all of that compiled in 90 seconds. Like, it just seems like a lot. Can you give me like, what would you suggest? I guess like what are the main like? I don't know. It just seems like a lot of information to put in there.
Yeah. So, do you have the deck open?
I do. Yeah.
All right. So, be right back. Come on up.
I'm not finished.
That's okay. Come on up. Great question.
Like you want me to bring?
Yeah, bring it from you.
She's not ready to go.
Not at all.
Oh no, we'll be okay with that. We're gonna workshop it
Okay.
together so that everyone can kind of see. I think it'll be helpful.
I do the color.
No, I'll just hit this. Yeah.
Wait, is this? No, this isn't. Wait, hold on. This isn't the right one. This is.
I don't need to see it. I just need to see the outline so that I can ask you questions because I didn't memorize it.
Okay.
All right. You ready?
Yeah.
So, in one sentence, what's the problem?
The problem is children have anxiety.
Turn around and
Children
face-
have anxiety, depression. Yeah, children have anxiety and depression.
Okay.
Anxiety,
What
depression
type?
and stress.
Okay. What is your solution?
Breathing and meditation.
Got it. So, we offer breathing and meditations to help reduce anxiety and stress in children.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. Okay. And who's your ideal target market?
Parents with children ages 7 to 12.
Okay. And how do you make money? What's your business plan?
8-week programs,
How-
8-week mindfulness programs.
Right, how much do they cost?
It's $100 per child
For 8 weeks?
for 8 weeks.
Okay.
Mhm.
And how would a parent purchase from you?
Online through my website.
Okay.
Right, yeah.
Okay, so you could combine that all into probably one sentence, right?
Okay, yeah.
You want to give it a shot?
Very simple. Yes, so my target market, wait, what, target market? Oh, I guess my problem is that there's children with depression, anxiety, and stress. And my solution is breathing techniques and meditation. And my target market is parents who have children ages 7 to 12. And the product that I have is an 8-week mindfulness program. And where to purchase that is online on my website, myplayballs.com.
Perfect. And what industry are you part of?
Educational services.
And how big is that industry?
I don't know.
So you're good. I'm part of the X billion-dollar educational service industry.
Okay.
And there are how many parents that fall, or kids that fall into your target market in the U.S. alone?
Sounds like a great question. I can have, yeah.
Get the answer for that one.
Mm-hmm.
And what makes you, like, who are your major competitors and why are you different from them? Better.
Major are Mindfulness Schools, David Lynch Foundation, are major ones. Why are we better than them? Because we have a holistic approach. So, like, we don't address just meditation and just breathing, with emotional intelligence as well. So, kind of like mind, body, and emotions.
And so a great way to start that sentence usually is we're the only, so our competitors are da-da-da-da, but we're the only ones that take on a holistic approach, da-da-da-da, or whatever that happens to be.
Okay.
And what's your go-to-market strategy?
Right now is just flyers and Facebook. I don't, actually, I was in that question today, I don't know.
Okay, so it needs
Yeah.
some work, but you could cut it down to one sentence, right?
Yeah.
And so then tell me the team that this whole plan you just told me about, why are you the team to take it to market?
I don't know, that's kind of a broad question, can you give me a little more, like why? I couldn't say anything.
Yeah, I mean, like, why you versus anyone else in this room, or anyone else in the
Oh,
world?
okay, because I have a personal experience that like having meditation and breathing and emotional awareness transformed my life. So yeah, personal impact.
So, and then to sum it up, there'd be a sentence to sum it up. But you essentially, you can see where there were some gaps,
Yeah.
and there's probably a story that you could interweave in there to
Yeah.
take it to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
But if you just said those sentences, you're probably, and took some time to whittle it down, that can be a 90-second pitch for you.
Okay.
To say like, hey, there's a big problem, we've got a solution, here's how we've solved it, here's how you can sign up, we're playing in this big industry with this big market, so we can really scale, and we're the team to do it.
Mm-hmm. That helps a lot. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you. You just asked a question. What we do now is work together in groups of 2 or 3, and really start to talk about where you are with your marketing, talk about where you should be, and start to work on that. So we're going to spend a little bit of time just workshopping your marketing plan. And I'm not going to say exactly what part of it because you're probably all at a little bit different place. So identify where you are, like in what we talked tonight. Do you need to still fill in some gaps with your underlying foundation? Are you past that? Are your 4 Ps aligned? Or which ones do you not know? Like, just start to have conversations and talk to each other. It's 7:15 now. We're gonna come back together probably in about 20, 25 minutes, and we'll have a little bit of sharing. Danielle wants to share something as well then, as well. And so let's take about 20, 25 minutes to do some workshopping of your marketing. Sound good? All right, let's do it.
Flyers and then word of mouth. And he had a completely different way of doing it, which was great and inspiring. He's doing more networking through events. So he's really putting himself out there of different events that might have his target market. So that was really inspiring to me to feel like I have to go. I think I do better in person anyways than behind the screen, so that was great. And then I also asked if he was handing out business cards or a pamphlet, and he has an awesome brochure that kind of lists all of about his business. And we actually created one, specifically targeted towards the San Diego Unified School District. And so it doesn't always fit for whoever we're talking to, so I think that just inspired me to create a more general one of why we're doing this and what we're doing. And then he just told us that he hired a videographer to make him like a mission video, and I thought that was another great thing to do and for our website. So that's what I got. Is that good?
Perfect. Hold on a second.
Oh, okay.
Any questions or comments for her?
Did you say you just hired someone to do a mission video?
You did.
I would love that. And he's 17 years old, rock star entrepreneur, and it's only $300 for A-roll footage of like, he'll interview 5 people as long as you bring them together, and then do B-roll of you doing your craft, and help you plan the video, and put it all together for $300. And he's 17 and he's awesome. So I'd love to spread, like, I think it's like, he'd be super psyched if he got like 6 customers or something. Huh?
Can you send me some of this video?
Yeah, he has 3 up on his website. I'll share it with the group.
Yeah, I think that we kind of get stuck in the online world of like we have to go through Facebook or printing out flyers. So it's just good to be inspired of reaching out to these events or creating video or just other avenues that I guess you don't really think of. Facebook always seems.
And I got some good things from you guys too, just as far as like actually partnering with the yoga studio just in the first place, and like potentially probably having that. I think yoga is yoga for kids kind of, but maybe just for me partnering with the yoga studio where I know a lot of moms of teenagers go, or like asking if that's the clientele I'm finding a yoga studio to partner with, that they would just add that as an extra bonus for their clients and market it that way. It's super exciting, and doing meetups for parents. So that's super cool. Yeah.
Perfect. Anything else for her? All right. Thank you. All right. Who else wants to share? Or am I gonna? If not, I'll call someone else. Keep picking. What?
I have something to show on the projector that I like it. Oh, that was like turned off.
It's off. It'll take a minute to
Right,
because
sure.
that's okay. Who wants to share? Who else got some good tidbits from marketing? You guys get anything you want to share? Come on. Don't get muted.
No, I really not meeting.
Did y'all just chat?
No, I was talking more about our pitch.
Okay.
Pitch.
Anyone over here? Did you guys talk marketing?
We did.
We did.
Kat, you want to?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think for me, like, I've been doing a lot of marketing of myself as the keeper of the Vivacious brand and like getting out in the world and like kind of almost doing marketing as a tool for R&D, if that makes sense. Like trying on different strategies, seeing kind of like what sticks, where I'm getting high impact, and then using that data to kind of, so I'm marketing in the sense of like testing options versus marketing in the sense of like driving sales. And I'm actually okay with that because I would like to get more of like my business plan and strategies clear before like rolling out a bigger sales platform. So that's where I'm at. I mean, I've been doing a variety of things like partnership events, writing blogs that are being posted on like different platforms, video stuff, lots of social media content. So really kind of like pulling together this mix and seeing like what's helpful. But it's kind of weird also because since I'm not driving conversions with it, I'm seeing like reach and impact and kind of like social engagement, but not like as a sales funnel. So I don't know if that's a useful strategy, but it has helped me to kind of like be clear on like, okay, like if I'm gonna do an outreach event or if I'm gonna speak at XYZ opportunity, like are there enough people there? Is it tapping into a broad enough network that it's worth like the investment for returns on newsletter subscribers? That's one thing. I mean, most of my marketing right now is like building a dedicated followership, but then when I'm ready to launch my product, there are people that are inspired, interested, and engaged, so I think it'll be easier to drive conversions at that point.
Yeah.
So,
That makes a lot of sense, and you're at, you've recognized what stage you're at, which is you're not ready to launch fully,
Yeah.
but you're in the research stage phase still, and so I think knowing that will be really powerful, so you're not trying to do too much or put too much attention where you don't need to.
yeah, like I was mentioning in this conference it's like all about like content marketing and how like it's content first, product second. Like then the digital space, that's what a lot of big marketers are talking about. So how are you creating kind of like a community that's rallied around like your value proposition, that then when the time comes, like you have like this kind of captive audience or engaged audience that's really excited to like help be those ambassadors to carry your brand to like the next tier. So I guess that's kind of where I'm at.
Perfect. Questions, comments? All right. Danielle has something she wants to share, and then we'll wrap up with announcements and all that good stuff. So, Danielle, you're up.
A couple things. An idea popped up. So, Mandela, you were sharing that you're feeling challenged with the systems part of your business. And I think so many of us here have different talents and skill sets that maybe someone else doesn't have. So if you're challenged with anything, maybe it's the creative part, like how to have more creative ideas or how to have the structure. We can post on the Facebook group and you can say, hey, I need support. Is anyone good at this? And we can help each other with the parts that we're not as strong at so we can grow those abilities. Does that sound like an idea? I thought that was a good one. Because I know that, Catherine, I know you're good at systems. You seem like a systems person, right?
Really? I don't know.
Yeah, to me at least. So, yeah, I think that's just such a good way. So if you're challenged in one specific aspect, none of us are good at all of it. We have unique talents. And really the business aspect, I think, is about reaching out for help, finding people who have other skills that you do so you can grow it together. It's about teamwork or community. Okay, so the thing I wanted to talk about was brought up by what you were sharing today, and just that piece of when things get really challenging with what you're creating or just in life. I think what's important, you can tell the difference when you're in an inspired state, you're motivated, versus the times that you're actually feeling like exhausted, like fearful, there's like different emotions coming up. If we can tell the difference between those two states and learn how to resource ourselves to get back to that place, because I think that's one of the most important tools. We talk about all these different strategies, but the mindset and emotional component of when you're moving through business. So when you're feeling depressed or you're frustrated, what is your resource? How do you get back to that place where, maybe like we did today, we meditated and just breathed and relaxed our mind to get back and get centered? What's your unique way? I wanted everyone just to pull out a piece of paper or write this down, 3 ways that you use as a strategy. This is equally important as marketing. Like entrepreneurship is a long journey, and we don't want to end up getting so burnt out that we get sick. It's really how do we keep staying true to what feels right inside, what inspires us, what lights us up, because that's what it is sharing that light with the world and staying consistent in that as much as we can. So it's a practice of coming back to how do I source myself to find that light, to find that inspiration, so I can keep sharing my gifts. So I wanted everyone just to write down 3 ways that you use in your life today, or just like ideas that you can think of how to source yourself when you're feeling anxious or frustrated or feeling down. What's like a thing in your toolbox, your emotional toolbox to help you get through the challenging pieces? I'm the woo part, yeah. It's so important. Yeah. So just like a minute to write that down. Did you send it?
Oh, wait.
Oh, thank you. Yay. Cool. So good tomorrow. So much fun, you have no idea. I'm so excited. If you can think in those moments where you feel the most alive, you feel lit up and inspired by this vision that's coming through you. Think back to those moments when you're in that energy space. What tools in your toolbox help you come back to that space? Because I think it's about, we can feel off and just realigning back as often as we can. Okay. Okay, hold on. Okay, so I would love just to hear, like have us just share with each other any tools that you use, like a couple quick things that we could all maybe just think, oh, I didn't think of that idea. I'm just curious what you all use. You just do popcorn and talk about.
I do a daily meeting with my business partner now, like 5 to 10 minutes, which super helps us just snap back in, like what did we say we were going to do yesterday, did we do it, we'll block this. It keeps accountability, I don't want to like not show up for her, she doesn't want to not show up for me, that's helped a lot. Waking up in the morning, doing my Kundalini yoga, like snaps me out of like, wake up and like, oh crap, like all the things I gotta do, like gets me present, and then doing the first thing on the list. Like whatever, like having my prioritized list there, and logged into to-do list, and like doing that first thing, because that's fulfillment.
I have a conversation with someone, or I either like meet somebody for coffee, or go to a park or beach and talk to some random person. Those have been the most fulfilling and inspiring.
Most of the time when I hit roadblocks, it's because I overwork myself. So it's just about taking a break and doing something creative, and or just having someone to like vent to, that like you don't have to give a shit about what you say.
Yeah, I think I said it earlier, but reading, like going back and just seeing what people have been inspired by what we're offering. Go for a run at the beach, because I always have like the most creative moments then. or surrounding myself, not just talking to anyone, but finding people who are, like, who always inspire me. Because I find that when I'm around other people who are like driven and motivated and super excited, it just gets me more excited too. It has to be the right person. Like, and knowing who not to spend time with. Like, really understanding the difference of like who's gonna bring me up, who's gonna stress me out, and who's gonna bring me down.
For me, it's time in nature, like complete digital disengagement. I kind of need to get away for a whole day into it to recalibrate and reconnect. So making time for that. Meditation is truly transformational for me. I would say anyone who doesn't do it, please to, even if you start with something guided, and you find I could give you good ones to go through. It really is good to like turn off the analytical brain computer and like connect just like whatever your source center is. That is my biggest probably, and the one that I'm the most inconsistent with, which is bonkers. And then practical self-care is huge for me. Like you were saying, stuff like keeping my home space clean makes my head feel clean. Taking time to make nutritious home-cooked meals for myself. Getting plenty of sleep.
That's huge.
And then also, when I'm driving, I noticed even with music, when I'm in high-stress situations, I can like just go to this like very spinny, neurotic place. So I have a couple, like right now I have this book called Infinite Possibilities, it's Mike Dooley, or like an audiobook or something that's not a goal-oriented podcast or a music that I can easily tune out and get into my clutter, but something that is engaging and interesting that I'm learning, but also what I'm learning to do is to like chill the fuck out and come into my own space. So,
The chill the fuck out meditation.
yeah.
I have a book on that actually. It's called Fuck That Meditation. I'm gonna bring it. I'm bringing that next class. It is so funny.
Fuck that meditation.
Fuck that.
well.
Oh, it's like breathe in,
I have a book.
confidence, breathe out, motherfuckers. I don't know. It's so good. It's like the truth, what you really want to say.
Yeah.
I just want to leave with this last thought with this piece. This is for me what I've been working on personally is consistently coming back to that place inside of myself that feels inspired and is really trusting the vision and feeling your intuition guiding you, and then at the same time having conflicting ideas coming into our field. So like people, like our cultural belief systems that what you believe and what you feel isn't possible, and we're constantly going against that. Like I'm scared to do this because my parents or whoever thinks I can't do this, but something inside of you is guiding you. And when you're in that space, you trust it, and it's like we're constantly just pushing against that and having to keep going even when we have that conflicting information. I think it's so important. For me, I do energy work, so I work with, I have a woman who does energy work, and she just helps reflect back to me what I'm feeling is real, and to trust that over anything else that's outside of myself telling me I can or cannot do this. And so I love that, because you can tell the difference when you're like, that just doesn't feel good. So
You're on a roll
I love
tonight.
that. I got energy healing today. I swear to God. It seriously works. Because I trust what's moving through us over what nonsense we're told is happening. That's just noise. So I hope that was helpful, and just to be,
Two things to add to that.
just to be,
Those two tricks that I
or just the last I was gonna say, just before I say it, but just, I just feel like this is equally as important as your marketing strategies, if you're really in this for the long haul. And being real, so thank you for sharing that. Let's keep sharing and post on the group if we need support. What did you say?
Yeah, I guess two things that help me out usually is one, this might not make any sense unless you have a certain background, but making my bed every morning. It's really important because especially after I spent a few deployments overseas, it's really difficult to not have a bed for months at a time. And so one thing it also impresses upon me is the concept of doing a little bit of work now, which would be in the morning, so that you have something to enjoy later on. So no matter how bad my day goes, no matter how shitty it might be, I know that I always have a nice bed to go to that's made for me. And so that concept of putting in some effort now in order for some reward later, and seeing that daily is a constant reminder in my subconscious. And the second is focusing on, in particular with my business, the people that I'm trying to help. A lot of times, because I hate admitting this, but there's a real selfish aspect to myself. And the biggest thing that I don't want to do is do anything that negatively impacts myself, right? Or negatively takes away from my own enjoyment of life. But I'm on a mission to help other people right now. And when I just sit down and contemplate exactly those individuals that I want to reach with my own works and my own efforts, sometimes you conjure up some pretty horrible images in your mind about the people that you want to reach out to, and it can be anyone. It's different for everyone, but for me, it's I always conjure up this image of perhaps a mother somewhere who might have a kid in her arms, and she has to watch that kid die. And I see that image in my head often, and it's that image, and I know it's happening. In all likelihood, it's happening right now, this very moment, and that's why I get emotional about it, because I feel that pain. And once you really accept that fact, that something like that is happening right now, at this very moment, somewhere on this globe, and that someone can be doing something about it. Just having that in your head and knowing that not only is there someone that can do something about it, that person can be you. So that's uplifting. That keeps me going whenever I'm down.
There's
So
your
focus
sales
on-
copy right there.
My like asshole brain's like, video it, it's good, it's there, keep happy.
My battery's dying, I hope it didn't die yet.
That's your secret.
Yes.
Danielle's also playing this Sunday night at 7 for Mundo Yoga. It's my feel-good offering. It's self-care, so it's restorative yoga, Thai massage, essential oils, and then for Shavasana, live music. There's always a different one with Danielle, and yeah, so if you guys want to come, it's all donations, so it's 7 to 8.
Any other announcements?
I got one. Next Wednesday, you guys are about to see me just blowing up Facebook, but next Wednesday, April 5th, it's our first art show, Wonderland in Ocean Beach. We are showcasing local artists from the Mission Beach, Pacific Beach area. There's going to be specials on wine, and just come support local artists, buy some of their art if you like it. But yeah, I'm going to blow the shit out of it this week, marketing-wise, so you'll see it constantly. So.
We're having a work play potluck party at my property. We're gonna, if you wanna learn basic carpentry skills,
Learn what?
you should come on Thursday, 2 to 6. It's like right in the middle of the day. I know a lot of people are on spring break, so most of the people in my house are teachers. Yeah, we're gonna have a lot more, and they'll be weekends because they're not on spring break. Yeah, so we're gonna be building beds and some shelves and a composting station, and then potluck, and we're gonna have kids activities too. So if you know people that have kids, they'll be like playing in the mud and making seed balls and planting wildflowers.
The property is beautiful too. I went out there and liked it.
But there'll be more. I know it's during the week, and I don't think there's any teachers here, so no one's on spring break.
Yeah. Any other announcements?
Oh, if you guys need marketing videos, I'll give you a kick-ass price. I know you guys were talking about that earlier.
I'm not 17-year-old.
Exactly. I mean, I'm sure he's awesome, don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking his work.
All right, so just reminder to focus on the deck and your 90-second pitch. Next week we'll do sales and biz dev, and then the final week we'll wrap everything up with our pitches and a little less content. So, and then after that, we'll do a graduation party, or a I don't know what we want to call it. What do we call it? It's not a graduation. A party.
And talent share.
A celebration.
Yeah, a party and talent share. The first one ended in a cake fight.
Am I allowed to drink before the talent show?
Yeah, bring your booth, whatever you want.
Alright.
Do we know when it's gonna be yet?
It's either at Tyler's
I just gotta call my landlord. He's
or
giving me a
Grand on
problem.
the Beach.
When is it? It's on,
It's on April 18th, on a Tuesday,
So
in
it's
the evening, so it's basically just the next week after session.
week
ends.
13 is the party.
Yeah.
It's like the
Bring
13th
your-
floor. It
Yeah.
doesn't exist.
Exactly. All right, thank you guys. See you next week.